Hey, KU fans, welcome back to KUsports.com and KU Sports Extra. You remember
in person, barely. Like, I'm familiar with Zoom. I only know Zoom now.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. What's this, a camera?
Well, you can zoom in.
And that's you in person, and
Here we are.
Okay,
Here
weird.
we are.
Strange times.
It is strange times, but it was an interesting night for a lot of reasons. KU played Emporia State in here. You guys know the story. They won 86-60. Lots of storylines, though, for an exhibition game. I mean, you've got Remy Martin's debut. You've got Remy Martin's coming off the bench. You've got all these new players. You've got lineups and different versatility that they can use in and out of those lineups. Your first thoughts on this new-look Kansas team and all of those firsts that I just talked about? It was a wild night.
Yeah, I mean, you knew it was going to be a wild night when we found out, shortly before the game started, that Chris Tien was going to start and that Remy Martin wasn't going to start. And I think you mentioned this, like, Bill Self could have picked any number of guys to replace Remy Martin in the starting lineup, but no, he went with a 6-year walk-on just to kind of hammer home the point, right, of like what he wants to see out of his players if you're going to actually play.
This guy knows what I want.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. That was the way that they decided to do it, but I mean, it made perfect sense after the fact.
Yeah, and that was his explanation. I mean, I'm going to put a guy who's been out there and knows what I want and knows what I do. And, Tien played 7 minutes, didn't take a shot, didn't turn on over. I think he had 1 rebound. He didn't do anything spectacular, but he didn't do anything unspectacular. So, message sent.
He didn't stop the ball.
Kept
the ball moving. He cut through the lane.
There you go.
He knew all his assignments.
That's exactly right. Who else stood out to you? We'll talk about Remy in a minute because that's obviously a big part of this one. But who else stood out to you besides that?
Well, Ochai, just the way he shot the ball. I mean, I thought his release looked great. It's quick motion. It's a quick release. It seems
confidence.
like he's tightened it up. And I mean, not that he ever did look smooth, but boy, he looked smooth when he let go of the basketball. And I mean, to have a guy that's that athletic and also can shoot it like that, I mean, it's such a dynamic, especially in we kind of talked about this earlier too, just how good it's got to feel for guys like Ochai, Christian Brown, and David McCormick to have these new talented players to team up with.
No question. I mean, those three right there, Remy, David, and Ochai, 48 points, 18 for 30, in limited minutes too. I mean, you get a real sense for what those guys could do over 30 minutes apiece, and we'll see if they get that. I mean, they may not. They may not have to. They may be running past teams like they were tonight. They were fast. The defense created a lot of opportunities there. Yes, it's against Emporia State, but I still think you got a sense that that's the way these guys want to play, and they have the pieces to play that way. That's the most important part. So let's get on to Remy. He sat for 6 minutes and 16 seconds, and then he came in. And I think he was on the floor 73 seconds before a shot went up. He made it, and he made 5 of 6 or 6 of 7 in the first half. Finished with 15 points, 4 assists, and 1 turnover. Look, you say what you will about his style or where he's at defensively, and Self-talked plenty about that after the game. But on the offensive end, if he gives you that energy and 15 points and 4 assists and 1 turnover, you're going to sign up for that every single time. I thought he was fabulous. The fans loved him. You could tell they were ready for this guy, and you could tell he was ready for this night. I mean, it was a perfect match.
Yeah, and he was ready to turn to the crowd and kind of get the crowd hyped. I mean, he wanted them to be excited about the shots he was hitting.
Yeah.
And I mean, to me, they're totally different types of players and kind of different personalities. But that reminded me a little bit of Devontae Graham as an older player, after being here a few years.
Right.
He would, hit shots and play to the crowd.
No question.
Like that. But,
no question.
I mean, this is a guy that hasn't even played a real game yet, and he's doing that and kind of getting the crowd behind him. So we talked a lot about his personality, and I mean, he's a talent. He's got charisma, and just a really interesting player to watch, and interesting guy to talk to in the post game too. I think he has a really good perspective about the game.
Yeah, he loves it clearly, and he said, "I love the game. I love to play, and at the same time, I'm happy to entertain the fans." I mean, those are his words, and that shows. It really does show, and I think part of it too is he's a guy that knows he only gets 1 year here, right? I mean, those other guys that may have had that similar personality, they knew they were going to be here 3-4 years, 5 years. And so it can kind of grow and build as you do. But he's got one crack at this thing. He's got one less game here now than he did when the day started. And so it's very clear that he's taking advantage of that. It's also very clear that he got Self's message loud and clear. I mean, he was asked about not starting, and he said flat out, I'm not doing enough. I got to do more. He's challenging me, and I got to respond. That's what you want to hear. Now you got to see it. So let's fast forward to next week, Tuesday night in New York City against Michigan State. Quickly, this team ready for the real thing, regular season? We don't know a thing about Michigan State yet, but they're not ranked. This team's ranked third, and they got a lot of nice pieces. Do you feel like they're ready to jump in?
I think anytime you're facing a Michigan State team, like, you're just not ready for how physical that's going to be.
Yes.
So I think that'll be kind of the biggest thing they'll have to overcome, and especially for a team that, not that they don't have some guys that can play physical, but a team that clearly wants to run, it has some finesse to it, has more of a perimeter skill-oriented type of team.
Sure.
And you're missing Jalen Wilson, your best rebounder, so I think it's going to be a challenge. It's obviously going to be a lot different than what we saw here today.
Yeah, they'll need Ochai to be big. They'll need Christian Brown to be big and physical. And those guys can both do it. They just got to go out there. And they showed that at times tonight. It just doesn't show up the same. So it'll be a wild game. Maybe not as wild as this. In all my years covering this thing, I cannot remember looking forward to an exhibition game more. They're usually kind of dull.
Right.
And I also can't remember an exhibition game delivering more. I mean, this was a blast. And a lot of it was Remy Martin and Bill Self and watching them figure each other out and coexist and try to piece this thing together. I think David McCormick said it afterwards. This is just the start. It's only going to go up from here. That's for the team. That's for Remy. But it's going to need some time to kind of grow. And you can see the potential, though. There's a lot of talent on this team, and they looked pretty good tonight. They showed a lot of that talent. For Benton Smith, I'm Matt Tate here at Allen Fieldhouse, back in the fog. But there's a Wendy's back over here. Did you see that?
I did see that Wendy's.
Amazing.
I think Dave put it there with his bare hands.
Dave McCormick?
Yeah.
Okay. Frosties in the fog, it says. A new tradition. Well, who would have thought it? As if the pandemic wasn't weird enough, now we've got Frosties in the fog. KU wins it 86-60 over Emporia State. I'll see you guys from New York next week. This weekend, KU State Sunflower Showdown in football will be there as well. Take care, everyone.